So let's start with your name and maybe also age and maybe where you are exactly now.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Chris O'Malley. I'm 60 and I'm in Birmingham, England.
Mm-hmm. And this very room is your private room, office, I don't know, home office?
This room, it's a room that it is a music room actually, in which I have my piano, my keyboard. But in this situation, in the lockdown and with coronavirus, this is where I see clients and supervisees as well, online.
Okay. I wasn't aware you are a supervisor as well.
Yes, I've got students and qualified practitioners, quite a few.
So the same way I'm shocked by your age and by the very fact that you are a supervisor. Not that I don't somehow respect your skills and experience, but I was sure you are younger, and that's why that's why I thought, oh, Chris is a okay trainer, maybe not really even senior trainer. You are a supervisor. Okay.
Yeah, well, thanks. That's encouraging to think that I come across as younger than I clearly am.
People are not saying you similar things.
Some people perceive this, and maybe some less so. It's interesting.
Okay. And I'm also aware that you part of your background is music, and you said that you are so in this room you also like it's like the room that the walls are specially protected, I don't know, equipped with sound. I don't know.
They aren't. It would be probably better if they were, but actually I'm a little bit out of the main body of the house. So this is sort of an extension to the house, in which I've got a Yamaha grand piano, which is my pride and joy. And I know the neighbours hear what I play because they tell me about it.
Okay.
In a nice way, like, oh, you're playing something new, or oh, you're getting better at that piece. I get feedback.
Okay. Nice. Okay, so let's start with the questions. There is, in fact, a specific order. So we usually start with asking our interviewees who they are, what kind of people they are. Who are you, Chris? I mean, in terms of your qualities, in terms of your values and passions.
Okay. Well, I mean, the first thing I would say, following from where we just were, is I'm a musician. That's very deep with me, and it's part of the fabric of my daily life. Is practicing pieces, thinking musically, living in music. That's part of my life. I'm a son. My mum's 97 next week, and has survived coronavirus in an English care home where it hasn't been she's been lucky. She's survived, which is great. I think I'm a perpetual student. I'm a curious person. I'm always engaged in learning, whether it's learning new piano music or learning more about being a therapist, learning more about Gestalt, learning more about the world. So I think a student and a teacher has been a big part of my life, because I taught 20 years in school too. So those are huge parts of my life.
You taught?
I started as a class teacher at primary level, and then I became a music specialist for about the last 15 of my 20 years in schools.
Okay.
So yeah, I think those are some key things. I'm a friend, a support, a companion. Yeah, I'm a co-journeyer in life with other people.
what a nice word. Yeah. Yeah. And your values. Can you say something about your values?
I value, well, something was said to me which I remember, which was very deeply touching when I was teaching. Somebody who had a very, she was a dinner, what we call a dinner lady at school, and she used to come to events that I put on for children and parents, and she said that I had the power of congregation. She said it in Hindi because she was of Indian origin. And I think I think I do have I value bringing people together, and I value being brought together by others. I think a community and shared enterprise, shared endeavor. I believe in a lot.
And how come you've become this way? Who influenced you the most? What which situations? What circumstances? Yeah.
That's a great question for me. I mean, I'm an only child, which is another influential part of my history, and that's a big influence on how I am, on my advantages and disadvantages. But one way, I think one of the key things in my life, and it is another musical thing, was in my 20s. It was the music of Ludwig van Beethoven who really spoke to me and changed my life from a very sort of self-interested or insular way of feeling to a sense of what I thought of as the universal, a way in which I felt that his music opened the world to the commonalities of humanity. And that for me, that was an immense revelatory sequence of evenings spent drinking wine on my own and listening to Beethoven. And that was a sort of turnaround in my life that moved me towards, first of all, teaching, to being in a situation with many other people to communicate, share, grow together. So it was absolutely music that started this movement away from singularity towards something much more interconnected.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I'm also the only child, but I wonder, I didn't have this. I wasn't that lucky to to have met Beethoven, but yeah, I guess I had that turn in my life too. I experienced that too. But you were saying, please.
Yes, it was a huge change for me, a highly emotional, highly transformative. It was my first serious therapy. Was this encounter with?
Were you then? How old were you then?
I was in my early 20s, so I was in my early 20s, and I was sort of a bit lost in terms of work, and that area of my life was unformed. But I was just doing what I've been lucky to do, which is follow my joy, and just listening to what I wanted and needed to listen to, and finding the next thing in that.
So you studied, I mean, in music school, and then you became a teacher, or how was it? Because as a musician, you could pick up different paths, I imagine.
Yeah, it's an interesting aspect of this is that I studied as an undergraduate English literature and music together, and there's always been something in my life where I have two things that have an articulation, a dialectic together, that sort of rub up against each other. And it's a bit like now music and therapy, I'm still doing them both. I can't do one without doing the other. And that goes back a very long way. So as a musician, I was always needing the other part as well, whatever that would be. So music's always been there, but it's never become the thing.
Yeah, complete.
Because I don't function like that somehow.
Dialectics. I like that. I like that too. I mean, with sociology in my case and psychotherapy, yeah, all my yeah, for the last like 10 years I've been in this process, and I can't imagine otherwise. In fact, you're right.
That's exciting to know. That's lovely to know that. That totally makes sense to me. I can really understand why you will need to keep them both in relationship.
Yeah, but I sometimes there were moments when I thought, no, now you need to decide, Camila. You cannot go on like this forever. Too many conflicts, interpersonal, you know, and but now I can say it's fine.
I suppose with music, because it's something quite a lot. I mean, sociology and therapy, I can understand that they're a bit more enmeshed in some way. Music can always be something I think that I can keep, but there is a tension between sometimes I want to really practice and perform, and other times I really want to write and develop my therapeutic interests. But somehow I have to do them together. There doesn't seem to be a choice.
So now your week, how does it look like? I mean, part of it is for clients and supervisees, and I mean, after in the lockdown, or it's somehow yeah, the situation looks differently, I imagine. But generally, how does your working week look like then? With those
yeah, I mean, basically I was working 3 days at my office in Birmingham, which I share with another Gestalt colleague, and a day at home seeing supervisees, and a day off. So I take Wednesdays off for music and or other activities, and I work Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays with therapy and supervision. So I sort of structure the week into two-day units.
Yeah, the same with me. You can. I love Wednesdays. I mean, it's like, yeah, in the middle of the week. I mean, I don't, you know, cherish music that much, but it is the day of my celebration. In fact, of my relaxation. I don't know, name it. Yeah, whatever you like. But yeah, but I like those two.
That's great.
Yeah.
And here we are on a Wednesday together. I understand that now.
Yeah, exactly. And okay, and why then teaching in when it comes to music? Why not? I mean, why not continuing some kind of more individualized career, or I don't know. Yeah, teaching has more to do with, I mean, performing, okay, but maybe more to do with people, with being not so much outstanding, if you know what I mean. Was it your choice? Did you do it, yeah, intentionally? You choose teaching?
I think I find choice is a fascinating thing, isn't it? For me, it's not a binary like yes or no. It's a spectrum phenomenon. Choice. And I suppose I was teaching music, and that did emerge as a choice, because I moved from class teaching, which I was finding overwhelming with my lifestyle. It didn't fit with the preparation, the marking, and I realized, well, music happens in the moment. There's very little marking, or the preparation can be quite spontaneous. So moving into music teaching had a sort of very present, focused side to it for me. And that worked and fitted more with my other interests, which was beginning to develop an interest in counselling and psychotherapy.
Uh-huh.
So I could still continue to run the two things together rather than have to give up something.
Mm-hmm.
So I did some private piano teaching as well, which I currently don't, but I could. If somebody approaches me and it's somebody that I would like to work with, I would teach them. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm not actively looking for
Mm-hmm.
students in that sense.
Yes.
So piano at the moment is it's a journey of self fulfillment, because when I was younger, I didn't have enough support to make the most of my whatever ability I've got.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm finding that even at 60, I'm feeling I'm playing better than I've ever played,
Uh-huh.
and I'm capable of realizing what was sort of implied, what I couldn't manifest earlier.
Uh-huh. Wow.
So
Oh.
I'm still bringing it to completion. It's still.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it must
Oh,
be exciting. Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
it is exciting. It is. It's wonderful, and yeah, I have during lockdown as well, not going out and driving. I've had more time, so I've been doing some more playing, and that's been very good.
Mm, wow. Yeah. Okay, so now let's get to this Gestalt therapy world. So how did that happen? How did you come to Gestalt therapy?
Yeah, it's a fascinating process. I think it really goes back a very long way. So before I even knew that I was implicitly a Gestaltist, so when I was doing my degree, my music English literature degree, I did a dissertation for the music department as part of my finals. I wrote a dissertation, and I wrote it on an English composer called Edward Elgar.
Mm-hmm.
But I wrote it. I realized now, I've been looking for this dissertation. It's got lost. I don't know where it's gone. But I wanted to look again because I wrote it from a field perspective.
Wow.
And I was writing about his music in his life and his life in his music.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
So I was writing about how the world as he experienced it manifested in the processes of the music.
Mm-hmm.
How there was evidence of the way that he lived was shown in the way the music came and went in different sorts of ways. So I realize now that that was already sort of there at some level.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there was a couple of other big things. One was that in the 90s, I became a Buddhist, a Tibetan Buddhist.
Mm-hmm.
And I took refuge as a Buddhist, and I practiced actively as a Buddhist from about 1997 to 2005, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was opening my mind to awareness, process,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'd started counselling training as well,
Mm-hmm.
because I was getting interested in this, in relationship, and being changed in relationship, because I'd had some little bits of therapy myself.
Mm-hmm.
So there was Buddhism, there was this counseling training, and it was person-centered Rogerian stuff to start with. But I moved it on, and we had a Gestalt module. And as soon as I remember I read Patricia Clarkson's Sage book, which I found very difficult and cold, and I sort of I wanted to fight it. But I read Jennifer McEwen, her Sage book, Developing Gestalt Counseling, and I loved that. That felt like it really spoke to me and had a far more musical, if you like, modality to it as a work.
Mm-hmm.
Waveforms and other things that she uses. So at that point, I was already really finding Gestalt was coming in a way which I was ready for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. That's
Yes,
sort of what was happening.
And so you kind of approach it from this counseling corner, and then you actually continue as a counselor, or you started also
Yes.
regular training? I don't know how this is.
I started practicing as a counsellor, Camilla. Yeah, that was in about 1999, maybe September, October 99. I started practicing as a counsellor. And then 2005, I decided to do a full Gestalt training at Metanoia.
Mm-hmm.
So I was getting more and more aligned with Gestalt. The Buddhism and the Gestalt were quite compatible to quite a degree.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a support to me emerging into a real Gestalt identity in a way, I think, at that point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I took my time for it to just become, it felt like almost a seamless transition, like it was just becoming a way of being and a way of seeing, a way of living, a way of communicating and relating. Bit by bit, it just became almost inevitable. So it's like the choice, it was like, yeah, I chose it, but it was almost like it chose me as well.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you say more about it chose you as well? I've heard it once. I mean, yeah, from someone, some interviewee, and it was interesting. I mean, I can imagine, and I understand the perspective, but how was it for you? I don't know.
It wasn't like an egoic choice. It was something, it felt as if this was a land which I lived in, and which it was a place that was calling to me
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
to make it a reality, to make it something that I could actually step into.
Mm-hmm.
So there was something in that field which was just a way of I was getting, it was coming to my attention
Uh-huh.
that it was an obvious place
Mm-hmm.
for me
Mm-hmm.
to move to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you retrospect, or you actually felt is this way at that moment? I wonder also, just out of curiosity. Yeah.
At the moment, there was some fear around the commit about stepping over the threshold to training. It was like it was calling to me, like a relationship. It was like it was calling to me, and I was frightened. I was frightened of stepping across that and embracing the relationship.
Yeah.
I think my only childness was probably in there somewhere.
Yeah. Exactly. Uh-huh.
But eventually I did a taster day. I remember going on a weekend, maybe a taster weekend actually, going down and just having, and then I just knew I couldn't say no
Uh-huh.
to this.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else I would have done if I'd said no to this. I just don't know how I would have carried on, really. It was so obviously
Obviously. Uh-huh.
what I was interested in.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. Now I got it. Yeah, I guess also my only child has asked that question. Oh, yeah, since because we have 10 minutes left, because you come. We've got this remaining meeting time.
Yes. Okay.
Because there were more than two of us.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, but anyway, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's adapt. Let's adjust. Um, okay, so if you were to say what attracted you most at that time, what attracts you still, what is attractive for you still in Gestalt therapy, what would that be? What is it?
I think it's the field. I think it's co-creation and it's field. I think that for me has been it's been the thing that I've most thrilled to, is this whole world of co-creation and not the individual paradigm that Wheeler writes against in The Voice of Shame. I think a lot of my journey has been learning to understand my shame, live with my shame, recognize it, reframe it. And I think that the field paradigm is so exciting because it speaks to so much that the West has lost in terms of how we know in the world, the nuances of knowing, the way this middle mode, this beyond subject and object, this latest stuff on atmospheres and resonances, and
yeah, exactly.
I'm excited by all of this. Is very exciting to me, and as a musician, that speaks to me very much. I think that the field side of things is sort of what fits most excitingly with me, and draws me in and draws me on to want to think more and more about how we know what we know. It's just really exciting.
Yeah, I'm recalling that I've seen that you are going to present. I mean, to have this deliver this seminar on what was that certain uncertainty? Was that or the other way around? Sorry, can you?
Yeah, I've sort of turned it around and called it uncultivated certainty.
Yeah.
And the limits of uncertainty. So I'm really
with what you said already, no? With this field and atmosphere.
It does. It links in. So I'm really interested in how we've got stuck with ideas of propositional knowledge in the West. That the whole paradigm in which I think Gestalt is still confused about its knowledge paradigms. So I'm quite interested in developing some thinking around this.
Could you say more, or you want to leave it for this seminar? Just a bit.
I feel a bit of fear and a bit of excitement when you asked me. I mean, I'm writing a paper on it at the moment, which is a big deal for me. It's sort of like my first big paper, and I'm finding it very challenging, but very exciting, very absorbing. So I suppose essentially, I think that propositional knowledge of things which we evidence. You know, how do we know it's a cat? This sort of way of knowing, I think it's been implicated in Gestalt. And I think that our ways of knowing are procedural, perspectival, participatory. We have, including intuition and all the other ways that we know in a situated way, situated knowing. And I know that Gianni Franceschetti is writing about a theory of phronesis in Gestalt, one of the Greek forms of knowing, akin to wisdom. I think this language of wisdom is something that I want to also think about within our paradigm, what that might mean.
Yeah. So, in other words, you are also tracing some inconsistencies in Gestalt theory, in Gestalt therapy theory.
Yes.
I mean.
Yes, I am. I'm picking up on ideas of. I mean, I'm picking up on the ideas of cultivating uncertainty, which Frank Stemler wrote about in '97. I'm thinking that speaks to me to a paradigm that I don't really see fitting anymore in a field turn, if you like.
I understand. Oh, okay. So yeah, so good luck with this paper. I imagine how both exciting and yet anxious. I mean, I don't know how fighting
Yeah.
a bit, yeah, or
Yeah.
fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
It's a lot to try to evidence and try to put a reasoned case across. But I'm getting there bit by bit, and I think I'll have it done by the autumn, hopefully.
Wow, wow. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we've got less than 4 minutes. Sorry for being such a yeah time setter or whatever. But the one more thing that is interesting for me is, what do you think about the future of Gestalt therapy? Yeah.
Yeah, I think, well, I feel excited. I mean, at the moment, I think we have some currents around, and some very active in people like New Gestalt Voices. There's lots of activity. There's new people coming in. There are some very fundamental challenges to what is Gestalt, what are the limits of our responsibility. I think these things are exciting and necessary. I like being involved to a degree with that. So I think there is a future. I think that there are some exciting things around. I think we do have to have confidence about the very different paradigm that we are. I think we have to find the support to keep faith to the fact that we're not a paradigm that deals in the same sort of evidence base that some others do. But I think that we have to just continue to find ways of being true and being brave and getting new people's voices in. So I feel excited and at times I feel concerned, but yeah.
Yeah, I am. It's contagious. Your excitement, your about the future. I mean, I can definitely see some concerns, but yeah, but excitement is a good attitude, and I guess many people within Gestalt world are really ready to contribute, no, to contribute in new ways, and that's the way I see it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of energy. I think internationally, I think it's wonderful that we connect so much internationally. I think that there is a lot of good work to come.
Okay. Because I'm worried if we are like stopped. So
Yes.
thank you for this
Okay.
interview. Hope you enjoy it, even though we had to, you know, somehow stop the time.
Don't worry. I hadn't thought about that when I brought in the third element, so
I
it's
forgot.
fine.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed our contact, and it's great to find some similarities between you and me.
I will actually text you about one thing afterwards, so there's going to be a continuation. But
Okay.
for now on, thank you very much, Chris, and yeah, and enjoy your Wednesday.
Yes, thanks. You too. Enjoy yours, Camilla.
Yeah. So bye bye. Thank you.
Bye now. Bye bye.